Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Last Word. You've seen 7 of our faces tonight, and finally, Jonny, you came on board. I've just got a WhatsApp there. Put me off there. Put me off me intro, Liam, man. Stop WhatsApping us. Jonny, I'm calling you Liam now. Jonny is our 8th member. It's great to have every face on NFTV, which has been a long time, isn't it, Jonny? Getting everyone's face on.
I know some would say it's probably not as good depending on who the face is, but yeah, we'll say it's the best till last. How about that? Me and you.
You can say that, or you could say you've been relegated to last. Who knows?
It might not just be me getting relegated by after watching it tonight.
Yeah, welcome to The Last Word on NFTV. We are aiming just for 100 likes because we've been beaten. So if you can't help it out, it is late. We're grafting away. We do this for free. So if you can't help out, that'll be lovely. And of course, more members, more videos if you click the join button. Please keep your comments coming as well. We'll be reading some of them out. And as ever, I always say this, I think it's nice. Thank you for choosing to watch Newcastle Fans TV. So everyone knows what this is, The Last Word. It's the last video of the night. It's the most detailed one because we've got we'll display photos from the game. We've got clips from one of our team, and also we'll have a reaction from Matt James rather than Steve Bruce tonight. Because I think everyone's annoyed with what Steve Bruce says. He walked off the pitch laughing and giggling, which hasn't gone down well. So we'll not put that on. Mr. Bruce, so we'll leave him out as well. We can see a comment. Hello, Mike. Hello, Jody Sancaster. Hello, Charlie. Ginger Huskin, why we're playing high press, etc., etc. Yeah, thank you for all the comments. We'll read some of them out a little bit later. Let's crack on with it then, Jonny. So we'll go straight into Man United's lineup. Here it is. Thoughts when you see Man United's lineup?
I was actually quite worried. I think it was probably their strongest team when you look at what's on the bench. I think Dan James starting was probably the best thing that could have happened for Man United, and probably the worst thing that could have happened for us because Jamal was scared of pace. And I thought he actually did okay with them in the first half. I think Dan James had his moments, but I don't think he really did anything in the first half. But second half, he was all over Lewis, unfortunately. But it's a strong team defensively that, of course, is still suspect, especially in that centre half position. But that was probably as tough as it could get when you look at what they had on the bench.
Then again, though, when you see James play, I'm like, oh well, it's James. He's an okay player. And your namesake Greenwood, if he started, I think I would have been a little bit more worried. But yeah, it's still strong. We should have really targeted their 2 centre backs. I felt Lindelof and Maguire. We talked about that in the preview. We talked about in the watch long build up as well, and they weren't really. Andy Carroll didn't really get on the pitch to test them, and even Dwight Gale didn't later on. But that was the Man United side, and you look at that also. We were joking on about penalties as well, Jonny. Again, we said that in the watch long. What's the odds of Penandes getting a penalty, and he got it? And we'll obviously come to the incident a little bit later, but we expected that, didn't we? A penalty coming.
Man United don't know how blessed they are when it comes to penalties. They've had it over the years, especially at Old Trafford. Like how many, you could probably count over 100 penalties in the last 10, 12 years. It wouldn't surprise you, would it? Because it's anything. I think referees do feel, I don't know. I think it's because obviously they're one of the biggest clubs in England, arguably the biggest club in England. They want to continue to referee games at Old Trafford. So those little minor decisions, some would I still think it is a penalty today, but I know we're going to go on to that a bit later. But yeah, they're going to get those little decisions. Like the odd, is it a corner, is it a goal kick? Well, at Old Trafford, we'll just go with Man United on this one, just so I can come back and referee a bigger game. Like Man United, Liverpool, or Man United, Man City, or whatever. It happens. Like happens every single season.
They get loads of penalties. We joked about it. Obviously, we will touch upon that very shortly. This is the Toon lineup. Obviously, we've got wind of it. Well, credit to Brandon. He's called the last few lineups out, and he said that Joe Linton was going to start, and Joe Linton did. And ASM, Miggy, it was effectively the same lineup, bar the striker change up top. What do you make of it?
I was absolutely gutted when I heard Joe Linton was starting. Like, I don't know about yourself, but it reminded me, and I said this in the WhatsApp chat, and I'll let people know what I said. I said it reminds me of when McLaren started Riviere, when Newcastle played Bournemouth at St James's. Now, I know playing Bournemouth at home and playing Manchester United away are 2 different games, of course it is. But it was like the manager was going, do you know what? I've had enough, and if this means I can get the sack, I'll get the sack. I'll get my payoff. Like it really did. Like what does he offer you? He offers you absolutely nothing in a game. And this is before we even start today, before we even start the game. I'll talk about his performance later. But look, I actually disagreed with you and Holly in the preview. I would have gone 5 at the back today. I really would have done. Just to make it a little bit more tighter at the back, I would have thrown Dummett in as left centre back, along with Lascelles and Clark. I'm going to put Jamal Lewis at left wing back. I know it's negative, but I think with Fulham's result yesterday, we needed something. I thought that was probably the best way we could get something, was 5 at the back and really frustrate Man United. But fair enough, playing 4 at the back, and actually people will say he kind of went for it, but I would have gone 5. I don't know. I know it's negative, but that's what I would have done.
Yeah, I thought it was a tad harsh on Dwight Gale, because last game out, he was moved to this right wing position for a good chunk, at least half an hour, and Almiron was playing for the middle, and Dwight Gale didn't get a sniff. So Dwight Gale needs a run of games, and I think he's the next best alternative. There's always that debate, should you play Carroll or Gale, but I'd have any of those two ahead of Joe Linton any day of the week up top. As you mentioned, Joe Linton was brighter than his normal self tonight. But it's not at the level to keep Newcastle United. We need goals, and he's not going to score goals. So if Joe Linton plays the next 12, 13 games, is he really going to score 1 goal?
He's not. But do you know what the thing is, though, Lee? In that sort of position, we spoke about this yesterday, it was like it wasn't the main man up top. It was kind of like just off on the right. And Joe Linton is a bit more comfortable, if you want to say that, out on the wing rather than up front on his own. Gale can do a better job up front on his own. But if you're going to play exactly the same like he did against Chelsea, Joe Linton is probably a tiniest bit stronger in that position than Gale. But my argument B is Ryan Fraser stronger in that position than a Joe Linton? I'd argue yes. And I'd argue quite massively yes. And I know he did have a good game tonight. But for what I've seen from Ryan Fraser and what I've seen from Joe Linton, I know who I'd rather in that particular position. But I completely agree with your point on Dwight Gale. But unless you're going to play him more centrally, you're going to get a similar outcome than you did against Chelsea. But it's just frustrating. Honestly, it's so tiring. It's just so tiring being a Newcastle fan at the minute. Like, I wasn't even annoyed when we conceded today. Like, I'm quite animated. I'm quite animated when I'm watching Newcastle. I really am. But I've had enough. I'm tired. I'm tired of some average players earning good money and playing like that.
Yeah, it's not great, the football. I know we've improved since Graham Jones has come in, but I'll ask you that question a little bit later, because ask Matt. There's a clip coming from Matt, as I say, but the game kicks off, and I thought Miggy was effectively, yes, we'll come on to ASM's goal in a second, but Miggy was outpacing. This is the picture where he outpaces Lindelof, and there's no one else up with him because he was too quick. He went past a couple of players and he was far too quick. But it wasn't just that. I think I remember recalling when he was in a centre midfield position, he slid back and won the ball back and set her off on a counter again. What did you make of the first half before Man United did go and score? Because it was much brighter and like, bloody hell, this isn't Newcastle.
No, like I said to you off camera, I thought the first hour, we were okay. We were okay. We'll talk about Almiron and the work he does. People say he doesn't do a lot. He's trying to do a lot. He's trying to get us into the game. His runs, and there was one, I think Sam putting it out in the score and the players. Joe Linton's just jogging. If that's Callum Wilson, I know I'm being probably a little bit harsh, but if that's Callum Wilson, he's busting a goat. He's trying to get on the end of it. He's trying to be more attacking. He's trying to see if he can nick something. And that's why Almiron probably gets so frustrated. You think, I'm playing with crap players. But going actually back on the team performance, I thought we looked okay. I thought defensively we looked all right in the first half. Obviously, Man United had the moments. I thought we were okay in the midfield battle. But obviously, Man United had a lot of the ball. But at least we had better crosses in the set pieces that we did have. We did test De Gea today, which was... It was better to see, but if people are having a go at Mikel Almiron and watch that game again, they really do, because it's really frustrating. Because he's trying to do something, he's trying to create. He's the only player on our team when he gets the ball, he drives forward. He wants to create something further up the pitch. When do we ever get that with anybody else in those forward positions? It's too sideways, it's too backwards. It's not good enough. It's not good enough.
I want to go straight into the first goal because, you and Sam have a bit of a joke, and I was mentioning that in the comments that I'll let you have your say on the right back situation because for me, there's 2 errors. Kraft gets done not just once but twice, and then Carl Darlow, he's got to look at himself and think, "Wait a minute, that's at my near post." Now, both of us playing goal, we're expected to save it if it's near us, and when we're near post, the signs obviously we know that Emil Kraft is crap. And I've joked on, I am crap. That could be his anagram. But Darlow, there is small signs. We talked about it. Remember, we talked about in the preview. There's little niggles coming into his game now because of the pressure. What do you do with Kraft? Do you just have to keep playing him and wait until Manquillo's back? Because it's clearly his fault. But then what do you do with Darlow? Because there is, as I mentioned, them small little niggles coming into his game, which are now costing goals.
I'm trying to be nice with Kraft because I know who he's been playing against. Chelsea and Man United away. Look, it's tough. Like, we can discuss whether Manquillo would do a better job, would whoever do a better job in that position, but Emil Kraft's not good enough for Premier League level. He's not good enough. Manquillo just about is. Emil Kraft, for me, has to be dropped for next week because next week is a huge game of football for Newcastle. It's a massive game. Wolves at home. And I didn't want to, after 2 games, sacrifice Isaac Hayden and probably put Jeff Hendrick or a Sean Longstaff or a Matty Longstaff if he still even kicks a ball for Newcastle because he wasn't even on the bench tonight, which I found absolutely bizarre. But I think it's probably more likely that Hendrick is going to come in with Shelby for the next game and Kraft jumps on the bench because I don't think there's any confidence in the lad at all. You've got to take Rashford out. Pull his shirt, take a yellow card for the team, and then when he gets back into position, it's so easy for Rashford to come in on his right foot, and by that point, it's too late. Dubravka's got to be saving that league. It's simple as that. He has to be saving that near post. If it goes right in the other corner, fair enough. You can't do anything about it. You expect Rashford to score from that position if it's going in the other corner because it's curling away from him. He gets a good hand to it as well, to be fair. The hand's not strong enough. The hand is not strong enough. But if you're asking me, I've said this for a little while, I'd rather Dubravka starts for Newcastle. I just feel more confident with Dubravka in that. I always have done. That's just my opinion. That does not take away that Carl Darlow has had a superb season at Newcastle. But I think again, it's harsh. It is harsh, but Dubravka has to start next week. If you want to stay up in this division, Dubravka is your best goalkeeper. It gives you your best chance. You'd not be rusty. You'd be working on his game. You've got to start, and I think, and look, it is harsh on Darlow, but I don't know about you, Lee. I think it's just you've got to do what's best for the club and best for the team. And if that's starting your number one goalkeeper, it's a given, really.
I think I wasn't for the last few weeks. I was like, Darlow deserves it.
I've been the same.
I think I'm at that stage now where there's too many. They're not costing with the results, but there's costing an odd goal there, an odd goal there, which we've already lost the game, I feel. But I think it's niggles. It's not like a major, massive way it's gone through his arms and bundles it over the line. It's not like that. It's just stuff where he's expected to do better. Because he's had a great season, but also Dubravka, we're comparing the two. And I said last night, it's a strength. I still think it's a strength that we've got 2 fantastic goalkeepers. But sometimes the great are good needs to be changed. And I think now Dubravka will be itching to get his gloves wet, if it rains, that is, on the weekend against Wolves. And I think it is. I would agree now. I wasn't the last few weeks, but I would totally agree now. I think Darlow's now time to come out, and that's probably Rex.
It's unnecessary pressure, though, Lee. It's unnecessary pressure that he's been under. I really do think that, because if we had won a couple of games against your Sheffield Uniteds, against your Crystal Palaces at home, your Leeds at home to a respect, if we've got points out of there, you could play Darlow towards now at the end of the season because you're on over 30 points and you're still 10 points ahead of Fulham. In the space of 7 days, this time last week, Fulham had beat Everton. And we hadn't even played Chelsea, and now they're within 3 points. It's an absolute farce.
I think if Darlow comes out, that's his England chance is gone as well. Because Southgate will not want to play a goalkeeper who's playing second fiddle. But again, it's for the greater good. Dubravka will be Slovakia's number one regardless. But even though we went 1-0 down, we were still showing signs, that, we're still going to go out and still try and play a higher press, attack, play on the counter. And we got a goal after, it seemed like a concession of quite a lot of corners in the space of 10 minutes. And it falls down to saint-maximin, who side foots it into the ground. It bounces up. It's a great finish. Can't get me wrong. And he was out the game up until this period, and he scores. Then he had a little bit of afterwards, a little bit of brightness for about 10 minutes after that. But 1-1. I mean, I was running around the flat, screaming. The cats were hidden underneath my sofas. I was loving it because I didn't expect it, to be honest. And it was just, when we scored that, Jonny, I thought we deserved that.
We did. I think obviously Man United's defence we've talked about aren't good. Maguire and Lindelof are still very, very shaky at the best of times. I actually thought Saint-Maximin was having the better of Wan-Bissaka, and not many people have had that this season. Wan-Bissaka defensively is a fantastic fullback. Going forward, there's always been that question mark. But yeah, we had Joe Linton had a chance which was deflected. We were causing them slight issues, but Saint-Maximin, great finish from that corner. It really was. It's actually a very difficult shot that he's done because he's hitting it towards the ground first and then it bounces over to Gea. But yeah, we deserved what we deserved. Go in at least level at half time. I thought Manchester United didn't really do anything apart from the goal. Darlow's had probably one more shot to save after that. So no, I think the least we deserved going in at half time was a draw. And at that point you're thinking, right, how long can we go without conceding? Can we get to half time? Right, that's the first stage, right? Brilliant. Can we get to 65? And if we can get to 65, maybe you can understand Newcastle and Bruce if Man United were getting a few more chances, maybe just to be a bit more solid and go 10 behind the ball for the last 20 minutes to nick a point. But yeah, I was relatively happy for the first half performance. I really was.
And there was a lot of obviously stats that go around that Newcastle do better in the second half when we score goals. But obviously we started off bright and we went into that second half again, starting off pretty bright for the first 15 minutes or so. And then Man United were having a lot of the possession and they were targeting with wings, and the goal come. Who are you pointing the finger here? Is it all down to Jamal Lewis for basically not picking up his man? He's more worried about, I think, was it Martial in the middle? Because Lascelles and Clark both moved up. Lewis is thinking, well, wait a minute, I've got two men here, but surely Jamal Lewis needs to look after his winger first because he's free behind him.
I think you've all missed a little part in this build-up. Matic has been given so much time on the ball in the edge of our own box without anybody going near him. If anybody puts a little bit of pressure on him, you might stop that goal in the whole play at the very beginning. Yes, Jamal Lewis is at fault for the goal at the end of it because he's gone for the ball. He should let Clark, or I think it's Clark who's next to him, to try and stop Fernandes if he's going to have a shot or play the pass. Lewis is just attracted to the ball. He can see Dan James in the court on his left. Just stay with him. You can move a little bit, but he's attracted to the ball. And unfortunately, by the time he gets into the position, it's too late. And Dan James puts it well. But we also had a big opportunity from ASN in that second half, where it was a good save from De Gea. He actually hits it too well on the half volley. Not on the half volley. Sorry, when he cuts in from the left. Sorry, into the middle on the edge of the box. And if that goes in, it's possibly a different game. But it was a proper sucker punch because at that point I didn't even see Man United really getting at us. I thought we were comfortable at that point, but from that point onwards, I don't even think De Gea touched the ball for Man United. I think he may have had one or two goal kicks. We didn't offer anything after that.
Yeah, that's about the substitutions in a second because I thought they were baffling. But what do you make of the penalty? It's so soft.
It's soft, but it's stupid. I'd be wanting that if that was Newcastle.
There's a lot of people saying he died. Brandon was quite animated in the watch along. Why hasn't he gone to check it in VAR? Because the referee must have been very comfortable. It was extremely soft, man. Rashford goes down like he's been shot.
It's what they probably call a 21st century penalty, isn't it? Because any contact players go down. That's what they've been told, because now, especially with VAR, if there's contact, the referee will give them, because they can't determine whether a player means to dive or not. I think it is soft, but I think it's a penalty. I really do. I think if that was Newcastle, and say that was Almiron or an ASM in that position, and that happens, you're asking for a penalty, whether you like it or not. But it's just when that happened and then that goes in, you're just completely deflated, and you're just thinking, right, make sure it doesn't get any worse. And obviously, Man United had a couple of chances after that, and Darwin made a couple of good saves, but it's just deflating.
It is. Look, a couple of comments come in that Maguire's elbowed Lascelles. I didn't see that in the game.
Yeah, I seen that. Maybe my brother's seen that when we were watching that. I was just like, nothing was even mentioned. There was nothing mentioned on commentary. There was nothing mentioned from VAR. And I think it's a stonewall foul. And that's the other end. I'm telling you now, there'll be Man United players all over the referee going, why are you not looking at that? Why are you not looking at that? We're not streetwise enough. We're not streetwise enough. We should be going at that referee, or Lascelles in particular, with the one who gets fouled. Have you not seen Maguire just do that to us? Seriously, like, this is why the bigger teams or the clubs that are in the top six are in the top six and the top four for a reason. They're smart enough to know who's on yellow cards and red, like on the verge of a red card. If that was us, it's just really frustrating. Think about it. Try and get a man sent off. Try and be a bit nasty.
Got no nice guys. No nasty guys, sorry. We've all got nice guys. We are aiming for 100 likes if you can help us out. I think this last word's going to go on for a while because we're in over 20 minutes. But hey, who cares? It's not a proper 10:15 finish for all the videos coming up. But yeah, if you want to have a look at the membership, it is down there below. Keep your comments. We're still appearing on your screen. And thank you as ever for watching. What did you make, Jonny, of the substitutions? Because at one stage, we had no striker on the pitch at all. And we're getting beat for about 15 minutes until Dwight Gale come on. Fraser through the middle. I don't know what he was thinking was. Were you a fan of that? Because for me, it was shocking.
It was shocking, but my point will still be, what service did Fraser get? I know he wasn't brilliant. And I'll argue Jake and Murphy wasn't brilliant, but what service did he get?
Do you think he's playing him because he can come and pick the ball up and run?
Yeah, like you said, we didn't play with a striker until we didn't play with a proper striker. We didn't play with a proper striker all game. We played with a false nine all game. We did.
Well, Joe Linton's not a striker, is he?
Well, Joe Linton's not a striker, but he wasn't playing in that striker position. He was playing a little bit off the right. So we were practically playing with a false nine at Old Trafford. Now, some would argue that was probably the best way to do it, because that's probably the most effective way of Newcastle actually threatening Man United's defence. You could argue Carroll could do a better job, because he's got the physical ability and have a tussle with Maguire and Lindelof, but he's not good enough. He's not Premier League proven, in my opinion. I don't think he's good enough for the Premier League anymore. So, and you've got Dwight Gale, who's probably not good enough for the Premier League anymore. So what do you do? Yeah, I agreed with the Fraser substitution. I thought it was the right substitution. The Jacob Murphy one was strange. It really was strange. Hasn't played for how many weeks? And takes him off of ASN. I don't know if it was 2-1 or 3-1 at that point, but I just found that really bizarre.
Yeah, I did find the ASM one. I thought the ASM one was strange because I call him a luxury player. He has his good points, has his bad points, but he's a match winner potentially. You've got to keep the potential on, because we're not Man United where we can take off and rotate and bring world-class players off the bench. We don't have that luxury. I thought that was a very, very strange one. I want to come back to the fullbacks in a moment, because Mr. James, who scored for Man United, does mention how Man United targeted us. We'll be back in 45 seconds.
Yeah, very important. I think after Thursday, we just wanted to capitalise on that. And I thought we did well today. We had a little bump after it went all, but we come out second half and regroup really and use the spaces down the side, and that's where we got the goals. Yeah, I'd say we had a little risky start. We obviously got the goal and then conceded a goal that is disappointing for us. But as I said, we regrouped half time. We knew where the spaces were, and that's where I got my goal today. Do you know what I mean? We worked from one side, worked to the other, and got that goal. Yeah, I think 2-1 was still a risky game, and the game got a little bit up and down. And Marcus obviously won that pen, and Bruno kind of secured the win for us. But from then on, we just had to keep the ball and play into our hands.
I love how he says won the penalty. Yeah, but we've obviously talked about the right back, but there's a problem also at left back as well, Jonny. Do you know if you've got ESM? Because James obviously goes on to say there that we deliberately targeted their wings because that's where we struggle at. Do you now think and say, well, wait a minute, Paul Dummett's a better defender than Jamal Lewis, and then go and let ESM play? Is that not a better option for Wolves?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I completely agree with you on that.
He's not going to help out. ESM's not going to help out.
He's not, but people are going about Adama Traore. He's going to be Wolves' biggest threat down the right-hand side. He hasn't really had many goals or assists this season. He is a threat. He is a massive threat, but he hasn't had that stellar season where he's bag full of goals, bag full of assists. And I think Dummett can deal with him. If it gets too much for him, then you can maybe get two on him, try and get an extra midfielder to do that dirty side. Maybe switch ASM and put ASM on the right, maybe, so you can have that license to go at players, and then maybe put someone like, I don't know, maybe get someone from the midfield to come and help out towards Dummett. But I think Dummett has to start. He has to start. Yes, attacking wise, he doesn't offer you a great deal, but I think we need to be a bit more resolute at fullback, because that's what's costing us goals. Like today, 2 goals come from fullback errors, and people might say that we're quite a tight team. We're still people have been asking for this sort of formation.
There's a couple of people.
You can't have everything. You can't have everything. If you play this formation, your fullbacks get exposed at times. If you play 5 at the back, it's negative football, and you've got 10 men behind the ball for most of the time. You can't have it both ways.
For me, I'll go Dummett, and then I'm not so keen Richie in the back 4. If it was a wing back, I'm a little bit more keen. But I think you could always do Dummett off, Richie on later on in the game. That's an option that he does, but I'm not that keen. I think Ollie's just agreed there that he doesn't want to say Richie in the back 4. I'm the same with that as well. But, if we do play like that, we do in the first hour. Obviously, we're going to talk about the fixtures in a second, but I want to get a clip off Matt, how we have played the last few games. If we go into that, will we start picking up points? Here's Matt back in a couple of minutes.
For the first 60 minutes of the game, we did well. We suffocated Man U. We didn't let Bruno Fernandes play the ball at all. We targeted their weaknesses, and we were able to snuff out anything dangerous, particularly with Bruno Fernandes. They had a bit of joy down our right-hand side, their left-hand side. But all in all, we played quite well. We put on a high press. We knew that their centre-backs weren't that comfortable in possession. Maguire's prone to a mistake. Lindelof's prone to a mistake. So when we were pressing them high, you could tell that that's something that we'd worked on tactically. Even set pieces, passing it short, moving the centre-backs around and getting it into the box. That's what resulted in the goal. And you could tell that we'd worked in that in training, which is a new thing for Newcastle United, because it's usually just same old. Hoof it, hope for the best. But yeah, we played really well for the first hour, and then it just went to pot after that. We just threw the towel in, decided that we were going to put 10 men behind the ball, let them run at us, and that's where it all went wrong. Looking forwards to the next 4 games, you got Wolves, Villa, West Brom, and then Brighton. 2 home, 2 away, and realistically you have to be picking up 6-7 points from that, if not more. 2 of the teams are direct relegation rivals. The 2 other teams aren't necessarily in the best form at the moment in time. Yes, they're good sides, but they're on a bad run of form, so we have to capitalise on that. Realistically, though, I can only see us beating one of those teams. I think we'll beat West Brom, but I think we'll lose the other 3. We might nick a draw here or there, but I'm being pessimistic because I really don't see us scoring without Wilson in the team. Yes, we've bagged a goal tonight, but realistically, I can't see us scoring without Wilson. So let us know in the comments how many points you think we'll get in the next 4 games. That's Wolves, West Brom, Villa and Brighton. And yeah, we'll see how many wins we get in that period.
So Matt's not really enthusiastic with what he's saying about the fixtures. Jonny, I'm going to put it up for everybody who's watching the next 4 fixtures, what we have. For me, this is the biggest and crucial time throughout the season so far. Because after the Brighton game, you then got Spurs after the international break, which you think Callum Wilson might be back. But from those next four games, there's something to play for. I think we can get something out with every game. I know Wolves are a little bit better. Villa are better side than what they were last season. People might say West Brom and Brighton are the big ones, but I think that if Newcastle get 9 points, I know that's a huge if. I think that's us if, regardless of what Fulham do. I can't see Fulham winning. I know Fulham are picking up slowly, but I think 9 points is too much because Fulham then go into the games against the top 6. I think they've got like a run of some of the big sides. How do you see this? Do you agree that this is like crucial? Because I think this is going to determine, because you think there, the 20th of March, we've sacked previous managers, McLaren. We've had Shearer come in at the last few games, and it was round about mid-March. Where do you see where we're going to be basically come March 20th? How many points?
I'll be honest with you. It just depends on who the manager is. If Steve Bruce is the manager and still the manager, he has to be getting 8 points minimum from those 4 games. 2 wins, 2 draws. I don't care whatever way you have to do it. You have to be getting 8 points from those 4 games, and that puts you on 33 after 29 games. I'm saying
more importantly though, Jonny, those 2 wins have to be against West Brom and Brighton, not the other way around.
Yes, you could say that. I would say more Brighton has to be a win than West Brom, because West Brom are still, as I can see on the screen, 11 points behind with an even worse goal difference than us. So you're looking at 4 wins just to even catch us up with the 4 games that we've got on paper. But it just depends on who the manager is. The manager at the minute, I think, has run out of time. And I don't know if you really want to speak about him now or speak about him later, but on those fixtures, Wolves is a huge game. Wolves don't have Jimenez. He's a massive, massive miss for Wolves. Like, the way they scored their winner was a guy hitting a shot off the crossbar and a hitting off the goalkeeper's head and going in. West Brom aren't great. They've shown signs under Sam Allardyce in the last couple of games that they can pick up points, and they've got a half-decent striker at the top who seems a bit of a handful. Villa haven't got Grealish for a month. Potentially might not be available for that game against against Newcastle, sorry. And then Brighton, we all know that Brighton's a massive game. Our record down at Brighton isn't great. I think we've only won once, and that was in the Championship. So massive, massive games. The board have got to look at this, and they've got to say, can this manager keep us in this division? And if anybody is saying no, then this is the time to act, because you do not want to be 4 games from now looking at that international break being on somewhere between 25 and 28, 29 points, with Fulham breathing down your neck and maybe even past you, and you're going, shit, we're right back in where we were under McLaren, under Kinnear, and we're really struggling. If you're going to do it now. Just do it now, because you like that banner says, learn from your mistakes, because it'll be too late.
Yeah, we've got some of your comments coming in. You would have seen them coming on screen. I wanted to, before we start wrapping up, obviously you talked about Steve Bruce there and whether he'd be in the job or not. I still think that he'll be given a little bit of time. No, you shouldn't. But I think the transfer window is closed. I think that benefits the fans, because you can't go in, we'll go and get a player, because that's now gone now. You have to work with what you've got, and Wilson's out. If I had my way, Bruce would be gone now, but I just don't think Lee Charnley and Mike Ashley are panicking just yet. I think once they're in the bottom, they should be, but I don't think they are, because why is he still in the job? So, I mean, we'll bring up the league table. Fulham play before us on the weekend. We could be going in. Do they not?
No, they play Sunday lunchtime.
I thought it was before us. Apologies. So we could be. Then,
sorry for snapping at you.
I'll rephrase that. Ignore that. We are live. You didn't hear that. I'll rephrase that. Newcastle could be in the bottom 3 after Fulham have played. It's worrying, because look at that. It's. I think West Brom and Sheffield United are goners. And then you probably, I know obviously BT Sport was saying it's from Palace downwards. I don't think Palace and Burnley. I think it's between 1 of 3, Brighton, Newcastle and Fulham.
I would still keep Burnley in that conversation. They've got a bit of a dodgy run of fixtures. They had the fixtures up for Burnley a couple of minutes ago. And it's still a bit squeaky bum time for them. They've missed a trick, Burnley, with their playing West Brom and Fulham at home and only getting 2 points from 6. So I would still keep them in the conversation. 3 points, Lee. 3 points. And the thing is, it could all change next week if we can get a win against Wolves, because we'll be above Brighton and be on the same point as Burnley, probably.
And what you've also got to remember, Brighton play Crystal Palace tomorrow night.
Brighton play West Brom away as well next Saturday.
Oh, so there's 2 games there that they can look at and think, yeah.
But the thing is, though, say best case scenario for Newcastle. Worst case. Say they only get like 2 points from a Brighton perspective. That's 28. If Newcastle can get that win over Wolves, that's 28. You've got 3 teams all on 28, all play the same amount of games. That's not the worst case scenario, but again, it's a lot of ifs and buts.
The problem is our goal difference is now -6 more than what Fulham's is, and that's, Rafa Benitez talked about, that famous 1-0 home defeat of Man City. It might save us at the end of the season, and Fulham, if Fulham win it, it could come down to that shootout at the final game of the season, who stays up, and we might have to go into that game on the same points, having to win because of a goal difference.
It's huge. It's huge. Like I say, you want it to be in your own hands on the final day. If that's the situation, and Newcastle have to at least be given the chance to have it in their own hands, and that if it draws a good enough result. But by the way that we're playing, the way that Fulham are playing, God knows, I wouldn't even want to be watching that. I think.
Yeah, you've seen how much
for a 2-hour walk.
You've seen how much that meant to Scott Parker, that win, the passion that he got, and he was asked about Newcastle versus Man U the night and said, "Oh, we can't really look at that," but secretly they would have loved us getting beaten. They'll be hoping probably for a Palace win, perhaps tomorrow, to keep Brighton right down there. Because I want Palace to win tomorrow night. I don't care if Palace go away. I don't care if Palace are clear. Keeping Brighton in there amongst is more important for me rather than a draw. A draw's no good. Get Brighton beat. Keep them right in there with us.
Yeah, I agree. I think, look, a worst case scenario is a Brighton win. If I'm saying Palace and Brighton, if someone's offering me a 0-0 draw, 1-1 draw, I'll take it as the best worst case, if you know what I'm getting at. But I'm thinking if Brighton can get under, okay, let's be generous. If Brighton can get under 3 points from the next 2 games, considering who they're up against, that's probably not that bad. It's just if they get 2 wins and they're on 32 before we even play against Wolves, which could happen. They played before us on Saturday. They play tomorrow night. If they're on 32, you're looking at Burnley, and then you're looking probably at Palace because they're on 29. So it's just so many if, buts, and maybes. I'm trying to predict football scores, and I know Sam's the bookie. He should probably speak to him about what are the odds on Newcastle staying up and how is everything going to work. But yeah, the goal difference worries me. Like I said, my dad said last week, it's normally the 3 teams with the worst goal difference normally go down, and we're at the minute we've got the 3rd worst at the minute. Yeah,
it is alarming, isn't it? Before we wrap up, we are proudly in partnership with Manscaped. You get 20% off any order. That could be anything from the newspapers to creams to shavers to boxer shorts to t-shirts. Have a look at manscaped.com. We've got ours. Carl should have used Manscaped. He might have had a cleaner cut on the watch long because Carl shaved his head. He used an old razor shaver. Carl, if you used Manscaped, that would have been clean as. But please have a look at manscaped.com. That is it. We will have the best of the fan clips up on NFTV Extra in the next 48 hours. And then we'll have some videos for the week. And then we've obviously got the big one, which is Wolves, which is now huge because all eyes on Fulham if we didn't win that game. But Mr. Greenwood, how are you? Good night. God bless. Ta-ra, everyone. Watch what is